Let's take a trip back before all the wars and internal conflict we see throughout the Star Wars universe and start at the very beginning. It was 5 billion years before the Battle of Yavin or BBY that the first signs of life started to appear in the Goroth system. For 4 billion years did life begin to spread and evolve across the galaxy until it was safe to say that sentient life had ingrained itself in all sectors of the expansive universe. With widespread sentient life, however, came ideological and cultural differences, and after hundreds of thousands of years of exploration and colonization, these life forces met and clashed, ensuring that conflict ensued on a galactic scale. Please keep in mind that this video will cover all the major intergalactic events up until the destruction of the Jedi Order. If you end up liking this video, I may do a part 2 discussing all that happened after. Anyways, hope you enjoy the video and don't forget to join us on Instagram and Discord to join our growing Star Wars community. Anyways, onto the video. In 36,453 BBY, we see the first iteration of the Jedi Order formed on the human homeworld of Coruscant, marking one of the earliest organizations within the Star Wars universe. Around the same time of the formation of the Jedi Order did the Infinite Empire, one of the galaxy's first and most advanced empires, embark on brutal crusades and rampaged much of the galaxy. They were the species to expand their territory and conquer entire civilizations, enslaving them and essentially using their energy as a resource to further develop their warships and technology. In around 30,000 BBY did the Infinite Empire reach its zenith. Its empire had annexed over 500 force-rich worlds all across the galaxy and had harvested them for their raw power and energy. The Infinite Empire was seemingly unstoppable. Although no one could stop them, their arrogance was their undoing. Many of the Rakatan people became corrupted, and after generations of universal control, the empire began to crumble. The slave colonies realized this, and in around 25,200 BBY did the slave colonies begin to revolt. Although the Infinite Empire could handle this, they weren't ready for a disease that seemed to be engineered specifically for the Rakatans and the Rakatans only. Due to their self-engineered genetic uniformity, practically all the Rakatans were the same, and the plague thus ended up bringing the Infinite Empire to its knees, with the remaining Rakatans forced underground, forming primitive tribes and becoming a mere shell of their former glory. Soon after the Infinite Empire's collapse, the independent kingdom of Kron arose and began to conquer the northeastern part of the galaxy. In 25,053 BBY, the fractured minor kingdoms in the core worlds all rallied together and united under Coruscant, marking the formation of the Galactic Republic and the simultaneous colonization of the Inner Rim. In 25,000 BBY, various trade routes were formed and the three major galactic systems, the Galactic Republic, Kingdom of Kron and the Hutt sector, began economically collaborating. In saying this, millions of jobs were created and the quality of life soared for all planets within the kingdoms, and it was a relatively peaceful time. 25,000 years before the Battle of Yavin also marked the year the Jedi Order allied with the Republic, marking an almost unbreakable bond for generations. In 24,000 BBY, the Kingdom of Kron peacefully joins the Galactic Republic. In 20,000 BBY, the Republic colonizes the Eastern Galaxy, which happens to border Hutt space. Somewhere in between 17,018 BBY and 10,967 BBY was when the Serenity was shattered and several civil wars were fought between the Coruscanti and the Alaskani, each grappling for political and economic power. The Alaskan conflicts, as it would later be known as, was ultimately won by the Coruscanti. However, this marked the end of the once peaceful and economically fruitful Galactic Republic. As a result of the Civil War, the fanatic religious cult known as the PSD commandeered control of the Galactic Republic, and in 11,965 BBY begun 6 crusades into Hutt space, wanting to purify the galaxy of all non-human species. Although the Jedi Order disapproved of these crusades, they believed that they shouldn't intervene as they had nothing to do with the internal Republic affairs. Although these crusades ultimately failed, the PSD turned their attention to the Northern Galaxy, and in 11,884 BBY, launched their 7th and most successful crusade into the Northern Outer Rim territories, purging aliens and alien sympathizers alike. The Jedi, however, eventually had enough and collaborated with the Alaskani to engineer the destruction of the PSD, and the cult eventually imploded and collapsed. Despite the defeat of the PSD, interspecies tensions were still ripe and trust was fractured. In 7003 BBY, the Great Schism occurs, with the Dark Jedi removing themselves from the Jedi Order. In 7000 BBY, the two Jedi factions begin battling each other, resulting in the 100-Year Darkness, until in 6900 BBY did the Jedi Order declare victory and exile the surviving Dark Jedi from Republic-controlled space. In 5500 BBY, the Sith continued to grow their empire, with their homeworld being Korriban. The Republic colonized the southern part of the galaxy. With the Sith now believing their empire to be strong enough to face the Republic, they invade Republic-controlled space in 5000 BBY. This starts the Great Hyperspace War, and ultimately the Republic emerges victorious and essentially commit genocide on the Sith, destroying their empire. In 4980 BBY, with the few Sith remaining, they create the Second Sith Empire from the ashes of the first, with their new capital being Dramun Khas. Roughly 1000 years later do the Mandalorian Wars begin. The Mandalorians manage to annex parts of Republic-controlled space, but are eventually defeated, however not without leaving the Republic greatly weakened. In 3959 BBY, the Sith Empire invade the Republic, starting the Jedi Civil War, also known as the Second Sith War. 3 years later, the conflict results in a draw, however the Sith Empire ultimately still collapses and the Sith Civil War begins. A mere year after the Sith Civil War, the Sith Triumvirate is formed, their goal being to exterminate as many Jedi possible. The Jedi almost go extinct, however they manage to hang on by the skin of their teeth and defeat the Sith in one of the closest wars fought. In 3950 BBY, the Sith Civil War abruptly ends and the Galactic Republic conquer the previously Sith regions. This lasts for about 200 years until 3781 BBY, when the Third Sith Empire gains its independence and expels the Republic. 3681, with renewed vigor, the Third Sith Empire embark on a blitz of mass proportions and conquer vast amounts of Republic-controlled space. This war would come to be known as the Great Galactic War and resulted in a Sith victory following the Treaty of Coruscant. A Cold War eventually erupts, and in 3642 BBY it eventually turns into another full-blown war, which ends in a draw but nonetheless leads to the Sith Empire internally collapsing regardless. The Sith then, once again, form their fourth empire, known as the New Sith Empire, and starts the New Sith Wars against the Republic in 2000 BBY. After an approximately 1000 year back and forth war, the Sith Empire collapses and almost all Sith are killed. Darth Bane then realizes it was never going to work out and creates the rule of two. In 65 BBY, the Hutts invade Tatooine, and really like it, marking their expansion into wild space. The Republic then experienced a 968-year peace and recuperate. In 32 BBY, however, the Trade Federation invade Naboo and Chief Palpatine is elected Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Republic. 8 years later, the Confederacy of Independent Systems is founded and the Separatist Crisis begins. In 22 BBY, the Grand Army of the Republic is reinstated and war begins between the CIS and the Republic. 3 years later, the Clone Wars ends in Republic victory, however Palpatine initiates the Great Jedi Purge and all but 100 Jedi are slaughtered. This then marks the end of the video and the reformation of the Galactic Republic into the First Galactic Empire. Hutt space remains untouched for many years to come.